So now it's saying start recording. Okay. Yeah, I think we're going. So yeah, good to speak to you, James. And we're in costume because James has just launched his cosplay magazine. He's going to tell us a bit more about it.
Well, I think it's safe to take my PPE off.
Yeah, nice. We're speaking during COVID virus, so you never know. It's good to be.
I actually love this helmet. I got it. I brought it at the last convention I photographed it. It was an impulse buy.
It's perfect. So good. Listen.
Yeah.
Nice. There he is.
Yeah. So it was a smart idea because I now have a Darth Vader helmet.
Yeah.
But my PA did at the time sort of like say to me, why did you do that? And so I was running around, I saw this Vader helmet at a pretty good price, and impulse buy happened, and then I get back to my PA and she's like, how are you going to fit that in your luggage? Yes, this is a good point. 6 weeks later, it's turned up in New Zealand, and now I have the best supermarket outfit ever for this coronavirus. So how are you, man?
Yeah, really good. Like I say, I've been recording it, obviously because of the lockdown, I've been doing a lot more Skype conversations. And so that sort of got me thinking about using Skype for doing the podcast, basically. And that's why I've done a few more since then where I've done the video. And I just thought it'd be cute if we introduce it with our faces rather than, because when we did a little, a podcast a little while ago, but we only did audio, didn't we? So we'll still play that in a sec, but we'll just have a little introduction with us, our faces in ridiculous costumes.
It changed. It's a different sound now. It's the wheezy one.
Oh yeah. Nice.
So yeah, I have to weigh. There we go. So that's kind of how I feel at the moment because we've been locked up for 4 weeks now. Yeah. And I have worked every single day, at least 8 to 10 hours.
Nice.
Just trying to get this Kickstarter over the line. And we discussed the cosplay magazine during the podcast. Pretty excited to say during a recession and global pandemic, we managed to successfully fund our Kickstarter. So
that's it, mate. Yeah, really pleased for you. That's so cool. And the quality of the magazine is excellent. Like it's something you would expect to find on the shelves, if not better than what's available currently on the shelves. And yeah, even if you're not a cosplayer yourself, I think you would appreciate just the quality of the magazine itself, but also the quality of the photographs and the quality of the costumes and the effort that people have put into them.
It's amazing, actually. Like, I mean, I show it to everyone, right? Because that's what an artist does when they're proud. And the amount of people that are not cosplayers that look at the magazine and go, I get it. I understand why everyone does this. Yeah. And then, holy crap, look at that aesthetic. It's just really cool. It's just really cool, like people outside of the film industry as well. Yeah. I think us filmies really do get it. And we do wear a heart on our sleeves and everything, but external to that, I think having this format that it is has really got more people just going, wow, that's an actual amazing thing.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, no, I'm really pleased for you, and I expect it will do phenomenally well once it's out there. Well, so you've got you. So how does it work now? What's the next step? So obviously you've launched the Kickstarter. You already had a few issues previous to this.
Yeah.
Do they get released or how does that work?
So we up until this point we'd released 7 issues.
Yeah.
We are offering alongside the Kickstarter reprints of issues 7 and 6, and Kickstarter with Yaya on the cover is issue 8. And so basically now we have the means to build international supply lines, and you know, affirm our bases, which is really great. You know, there is a decent market for this. You know what I mean? Globally, and yeah, I'm just really lucky because, you know, I made a promise that I would show off Australia and New Zealand and take our community to the world, and this is the way I'm going to do it. Yeah, and you know, I can feature English cosplayers and American cosplayers, and you know, it's not going to be country exclusive, so to speak, but coming from a small community here in New Zealand, especially with cosplay, you know, opportunities are not quite there in the same way as say these bigger, more global cosplay communities. So, you know what? I'm just gonna show the world why they should be watching us here in New Zealand and Australia. Honestly, I just get blown away every time I go to a convention. You know, I was at Supernova. Oh, gee, it must be what I flew in just before the lockdown. So it must be 6 weeks ago now. And I think I had 8 hours sleep the entire weekend because I was that busy. 3 days on the con floor, shooting, having meetings, all this stuff, and then go home or go back to my hotel. I might have more photo shoots booked, or I'd just be processing photos, make sure that in the morning when people wake up, there's 300 or 400 photos sitting there, so everyone, you know,
you are
in the bus,
you know,
so it's just choice, man. Like I'm just and just having the solidity within in the magazine itself. It just means so much more for us, you know. Like we were going to go to Canada this year, and we're looking at going to the EU as well as about 4 trips to Oz. But obviously, with that sort of thing, everything's
that's a little bit out of your hands, I'd say. You know, circumstances, can't be helped.
So it's
still on the cards for later down the line.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just really exciting. I mean, we're going to weather the storm. We're very lucky that, I guess, in many regards, that we're so new. We're the new kids on the block. We don't have massive overheads like some companies, you know, as all us Kiwis know, a major magazine corporation went under due to coronavirus, or during this time.
Know about that? Interesting.
The Bauer Group, which is pretty sad. But it really does then affirm to myself and my team how much of an achievement we actually made. You know, like
you're quite well adapted to working from home, because that's kind of how you've had to build it. You know, because everyone's been doing it in their spare time, haven't they, up until this point at least.
Yeah.
You know, and as a sort of pet project, but now it's, you know, taken on a little bit more of a professional kind of momentum with. Yeah, that's so good.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy like how it's rolling. You know, like it's not my day job yet.
Yeah.
But you know we.
You're locked down there.
Yeah. But I definitely throw day job hours at it, but it's slowly, you know, slow and steady.
Yeah, and you're only on early issues, so who knows where it'll take you.
That's it.
So yeah, we speak quite a lot about this, so we don't want to repeat ourselves. But so I'll now play the episode that we recorded, and people can listen to that as well. And we talked about your history on rings in that one as well. So yeah, should be fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I love that.
It's really, really good to catch up with you, mate.
Yeah, bro.
Glad you're going from success to success.
Oh, swinging for the fences. You
Yeah.
know, we got a choice, right? We can sit back and just watch everything play out, or we can try and get some plans and be in charge of the reality that we live in. And I think that's my way forward, at least.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like to sit on my hands, so to speak. I'd just rather just keep moving. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's just got to take it at their own pace, I think. So that's really good that you've been able to harness that for something that's really productive for you. That's really good. Totally, man. Right. So yeah, we'll have to do another podcast a bit later on as well, like in a couple of months, to see where you get to at that point as well.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, okay. Once this is all over, just come around, hang out, and
nice.
We go for a walk or something, or I can make some curry. Oh yeah.
Thank you, mate. All right, I'll catch you soon.
Brother.
All right, nice one. Thank you, James.
Yep.
Yeah, producing James's podcast. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Today we've got James Bennett. So James and I first met while we were working at Weta Workshop, and we would hang out for Game of Thrones nights while that was going, the final season. And James has got a very inspiring story, so I kind of want to share that with you all. So I'll let James tell you a bit about his background.
Thanks, Joe. And thanks for having me on the podcast. It's kind of cool to be able to talk about some of my experiences in filmmaking in New Zealand, especially it has really inspired my life. And I look forward to doing it until my last days, so I guess we first met when we were working at Weta, and then, cool social circles that there are, and nerdy Game of Thrones night. So I'm a painter, is what I do, and I've worked on some pretty big projects now. But I actually track all the way back to the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, where I started off as an extra as a young man, and I moved into becoming what was at the time P&S Stunts, which was the prosthetics and stunts. So we're sort of like the background stunts, and honestly, I can say that it's pretty close to being the best time of my days, so far.
So cool. I was such a big fan of Lord of the Rings growing up. That is one of the Lord of the Rings bonus features, and is one of the things that got me into prop making, and certainly one of the things that brought me to New Zealand. It's really cool to meet people who've worked on Lord of the Rings like yourself. And so, what characters did you get involved?
Okay, so I worked on it for about 6 months actually. So, through my acting agent, and I got to play a Moira Orc, a Mordor Orc, an Easterling, a Haradrim, a Gondorian soldier, and my favourite, which was a Gondorian ranger. Honestly, we just all felt like badasses, and especially on set, because it was like this close knit sort of special forces vibe, especially when you put on all that leather and those capes, and everyone else on set, all the extras were. It's like, I wish I was a ranger,
I bet.
It was pretty cool for sure.
Which was your favourite sets that you saw?
I worked on the Mummicle, which at the time was the biggest prop ever, and so I was a Easterling and a Haradrim. Did a lot of lying around dead and a lot of dying, I guess you'd say. I played a lot of characters in that, I guess, sequence of the film. And probably, I think, the most hectic stunt I've ever done in regards to that as well, which was dressed as an orc. And there was all the riders of Rohan sort of running around, and they basically, said to us, look, see those cones over there? we want you to sprint at them. Yeah, there'll be about 100 horses that you'll have to weave through. And so, like, you're in full orc prosthetic with the big rubber mask and that sort of stuff, and still trying to look like an orc, not run like a person, and just make a beeline for these cones. And yeah, it was a little bit sketchy, but it was safe enough. Like everyone knew what they were doing.
Amazing.
Yeah, very much so.
How old were you when you did that?
Wow, about 20, I guess. Yeah. So about 21 years ago. I actually got into it through, I've studied martial arts for a long time, and also have a bit of an interest in Western martial arts, so sword fighting and stuff. And I kind of got on through there, and like way before it had even been announced, the guys at Weta Digital had come down to our sword training, and I was training. This is going back 20 years. And I was training with this guy called Peter Lyon, who I'm sure all of you Lord of the Rings fans know exactly who that is.
So he's the swordsmith, really, for Weta, the one who makes all the hero swords, and yeah, he's still constantly employed as to make lovely hero swords.
He's the man. Yeah. He's a master of his craft. And so my history goes back that far, into this circle, and that's, I think, really the beauty of living in New Zealand, is that, if you share like ideas and stuff like that, you're gonna meet these cool people, and they're gonna be part of your life. I play D&D with Peter, and that's pretty cool. After all these years, we're still hanging out, and happen to work at the same place, which is awesome. And so anyway, so the guys at Weta Digital came in and videoed us doing our sword fighting for a program called Massive, which was some pretty leading technology back in the day. I sort of don't know too much about that program, but I remember it being dropped, and I remember it being like in quite the thing in tech talks and stuff like that.
So you also told me you were part of the Air New Zealand.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess I've got a specific look. You know what I mean? I'm a burly bearded dude with shaggy hair, and so a number of years later, I was living in Auckland, and I've dabbled in acting and stuff right throughout my life. I enjoy it, and I just enjoy being part of film and television and the whole process. It's certainly a passion of mine. And I get a call. Oh, so in New Zealand, I'd been a bit bummed out that I hadn't got on Hobbit at that stage. But that was more a proximity thing than anything. I wasn't in Wellington, and my agent gave me a call and was like, "Well, Air New Zealand are filming this Middle Earth air training video, and they really like what they see. Can you come down?" And so it went down, and they were like, wow, awesome. And so all of a sudden, sort of whisked away and costumed, and I was it was basically a cosplay video, like a whole lot of cosplayers getting on an airplane and traveling to this place called New Zealand, which is I think the best place in the world.
I remember seeing the video just through YouTube. As it came on, it kind of went a little bit viral.
Yeah,
everyone
massive.
sort of saw it, and it was just a cool celebration of the Lord of the Rings history for New Zealand. And bringing that into there. Yeah, obviously, just every aspect of New Zealand culture is sort of, well, not every aspect, but it's become a bit one of the things that is association. Yeah, sure.
Definitely. I mean, I've travelled pretty extensively, and for a while I was, of all things, a professional knight, and I went to Moscow, and I fought some bouts there, sword fighting, kids, study the blade. Yes, do that. Like,
so what as a martial art? What's that? Is that bokken or is
no,
that,
no.
is it
So
different?
full steel armor
Right.
and steel weapons, without edges, of course, and there are rules. But it's sort of like we're wailing on each other. This particular tournament was in Moscow. It was the top tournament in the world. It was 5-on-5 world championship, and so 300 and something fighters from all around the world assembled there, and hammer and tongs went out and beat each other up. I ended up with a broken arm, and I did I knocked out a pretty big Russian guy in one of the fights, and I got quite a bit of a following because I'm only 5'7". I'm not a really tall guy or anything like that, and
That's why he was hired for Gimli the dwarf.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, well, that's it, and that's I guess that's going back to the Air New Zealand thing. That's exactly why I was Gimli, and I got a featured role, and you can prominently see me, and my hairy face.
That should still be on YouTube, eh?
Yeah,
People
yeah,
can look that
definitely.
up. We'll have to put a screenshot up with this
yeah.
on the Instagram or on the YouTube video. I'd like to put some photos with this.
Oh,
so.
that'd be cool. But yeah, basically, and look out for the shot when they tell everyone to turn their electronics off, and I'm the disgruntled dwarf. Yeah, so
That's perfect.
Oh.
It's really nice how there's a relationship between the things you've done in your career and what you've taken those passions into your personal, like in your hobbies, like with but also like you're a big part of the cosplay community, aren't you?
yeah. So
got into that.
I studied as a photographer actually by trade, and did art school and that sort of stuff, and I've always really been inspired by costume, and I started, I guess, my photography career photographing circus and burlesque, and for me, the interplay between the dynamics of emotion and action, as well as the flow of costume, the drapery, really did it for me, and I think as things grew and pop culture became much more prominent, cosplay became huge, and I started getting invited to go and photograph at conventions, and started meeting these amazing people, and yeah, at that point I kind of just saw all these people putting in so much effort into these costumes, like some of these costumes are film level, and the talent is there,
Sure is, yeah.
and the cool thing is that these people wearing their hearts on their sleeves, they're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
They do it because they love it, and I think that is an inspiring thing. And so after a few years, I was like, well, Facebook, we see these people's amazing work, and it's on Facebook, and then 2 days later, they've got 50 likes, and then the world never sees it again. So I started a magazine, and it went from a newsletter to a 100-page glossy magazine, and we're working on our 8th issue now, and
What's the magazine called?
so it's called Con Artist. So it's like a double entendre, like convention artist, but it's also like a con artist is someone that convinces someone that they're something that they're not, and I think it works really well, and yeah,
That's clever.
It's cool. For sure.
Where can people find that?
So you can at this stage, like we are an indie project, so you can find us on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm looking, like I've got tenure now, and people know who we are, and I've managed to go around the world photographing cosplayers and stuff, and I kind of do want to take it to the world, show the world how amazing cosplay is, and just grow people that, like that sounds really funny and cheesy, but I want to see these people get rewarded, and yeah, that's important to me, and plus I get to create at the same time, you know.
Absolutely, it's very in vein with what we're going for with this podcast with the uncredited artists. You know, even prop makers that are working on actual films don't necessarily get the love and attention that, you know, their skill and hard work. Yeah, obviously they get paid, and you know it's a fun job, but there's so much more going on behind the scenes, and how it sort of, you know, interesting characters that I'd like to bring to light, and it's great to have you on and talk about that sort of thing.
And I think that's it for us, right? We do it for the love of it. The fact that we have managed to get jobs that help us on our way, and that we can carry on doing what we love, and not having to go out and have day jobs or you know, that sort of thing, is really cool. But yeah, it's not quite as glamorous as a lot of people think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I said, there is lots of other have there been any jobs that have been less glamorous than people would expect?
There's a lot, but certainly, I guess, and it's not that it's not glamorous, because heck, man, it's Lord of the Rings, right? But definitely, getting rained on a lot and waiting for the rain to shoot and stuff like that was not really the best, and wearing like all those prosthetics, they just sort of fill up with water, and it was okay because it kept you warm, like this giant spongy wetsuit.
Wow, yeah.
But you know, I worked on something called Spartacus as well, and it was I wouldn't call it the worst thing, but it was the most awkward thing, because there was a lot of nakedness,
Right.
and you know, like naked people chained to walls and stuff, and like, you know, between takes you have conversations, and you're like, hi, yeah, hey, how you doing? Right, yeah, so
That's true.
anyway.
Yeah, well, certainly, I've done a little bit of work with special effects and the rain jobs, you know, and snow and hail and things like that. It is quite unpleasant for the actors. We do put them through quite a lot of hardship for, you know, for the sake of film.
Yeah, definitely. And certainly things like prosthetics as well. What you see on film is only a short representation of the time that's gone into it. Someone may have been in makeup for an hour or 2 hours, you know, and you've just got all this stuff caked on you. I can remember, you know, I've got some tattoos, so in some roles I had to have them covered up, and literally it just feels like you've just got mud from your armpit to your wrist, you know. But it's the things you do, and yeah, I mean, these days certainly I'm more in the back end, you know what I mean, than in front of the camera, with props and
that's how Weta, more of the making, and you're big into your miniature painting and things like that as well,
miniature painting, and you know, it was prop painting and all that sort of stuff, you know. Unfortunately, I can't really speak about much of what has I have done in the last year or so, but it's amazing, and you know, no matter how monotonous or mundane, I still find it really inspiring just to be part of that. But here we are, and I think that is one of the beautiful things about being a creative in New Zealand. Like, times go up and down, yeah, because we are quite an isolated industry, but the fact that it's so accessible, if you're driven and you put the time in, you can spend time on these things, and I think that's really cool. And because of that, I've met people like yourself, you know, like, I love Star Wars, man, as you know.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Star Wars, and all the excitement and buzz of Mandalorian and things to come. Yeah,
far out, yeah. So yeah, no, it's just really inspiring to be able to I guess fill your life in this way.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for coming on the podcast, and it's been fantastic to speak to you. So
yeah, no worries.
James Bennett. Thank
Cheers.
you very much.
Bye.
All right, cheers.